Alrighty, this is Pastor Jeff once again for In the News. It is April 26, 2013. And rather enjoying our new format of keeping record on the hard drive instead of just trusting YouTube to put my reports out and not censor them. So, because I'm sure this one will probably be censored just as much. All right, this report here is found in NBCnews.com Vitals. I guess it's the health report area. And this is rather interesting. Moldy marijuana. Legal market sparks push for health safety standards. Now, over here in Canada, the marijuana market, as they say, is rather lax. It's not totally legal, but it is for a personal use, meaning like under an ounce, I think it is. I don't know specific. I can look it up later. But I'm going to read this article because I think this is interesting. To say the least. Marijuana may soon become mainstream for adults in Colorado and Washington state. But before it reaches that point, regulators face a tall task making sure the newly available pot products don't become a hazard to public health. Are you kidding? That's like saying that marijuana isn't already a public health hazard, right? Months before legal sales of the drug begin, officials in both states are struggling to come up with health and safety rules to govern a menu of marijuana offerings ranging from leafy greens to food and drinks. I guess they're going to have a pot milkshake. Government agencies, excuse me, I skipped a part. Yeah, there we go. Pot, like other agricultural commodities, could be subject to problems ranging from mold, mites, and pesticide residues in the raw plant to solvents, E. coli, salmonella, and run-of-the-mill food safety risk in prepared products, experts say. Government agencies such as the Food and Drug Administration won't weigh in because marijuana remains illegal under federal law. That leaves state officials to come up with a framework for policing products and distribution for the entirely new industry. It's important for us to do it because it's public safety and there's no U.S. FDA oversight here. Why not? I mean, mind you, and just, if this world is going to allow it to become legal, why wouldn't it be regulated? I mean, tobacco is regulated. I mean, you can't just, you have to have the little state stamps or wherever you got them from, unless you're buying it off the reservation. But now let's report it according to the Christian perspective. Amen. This seems like it's a little high there. There we go. Is that better? That's a little better. And this, I think, the reason I'm reporting this is because this goes along with our conversation. I think it was Wednesday. We got into a rather heated discussion concerning drug use among Christians. And the issue was based on mental well-being and physical well-being. We all know that people Christians take drugs. We all know they do. For pain or for sicknesses or whatever. And I believe firmly that God has provided a natural remedy in His creation. I believe that. Even mental health. Even mental health. But however, now we get to the touchy issue of synthetic man-made drugs. And this is where we have a real problem. And believe me, I am definitely not a supporter of legalizing marijuana. Just like I'm not a proponent of or supporter of legalizing sodomite marriages. But we all know how this world is. Amen, somebody? This world is going to do whatever it can to screw up everything God created and use it for their own perverted use. So, on that note, my comment here as a pastor would be that Christians, i.e. you, our health and mental welfare must be governed by Jesus Christ. It's that simple. And to do otherwise is to forfeit the healing power or the healing balm of mental health and welfare that Jesus Christ provides each one of His children. And in doing so, we forfeit walking in the fullness of His graces. There was something said this morning that I thought was rather, rather interesting for this conversation, this news report. And they were saying that when we cease from our works, God works. And when we try to do our works, God's working ceases. And I have to agree with that. God never honors our trying to fix ourselves. So He steps back. And I'm living proof that there have been times in my own life that I wasn't very submissive to the workings of the cross. Now you're asking, well, Pastor Jeff, what is the workings of the cross, and what does that have to do with drug use and this idea about legalized marijuana? Once they begin legalizing marijuana, they will do it, and Christians will use the excuse to say it's, and they do today. They do right now. They say, well, God created it, so it must be okay. Right? I mean, there are churches today who are in their sanctuary smoking marijuana in their quote-unquote worship time. And I find that rather troubling. But knowing full well these things are going to take place, right? So, anyway. And they use those things as to say they usher in a framework of spirituality, of calm. And this is exactly what today's Christians think, that if the doctors of this world tell you you have MPD, you believe it. If the doctors tell you you have schizophrenic tendency, you believe it. If the doctors tell you that you're bipolar, you believe it. And therefore you walk in that belief structure. But I'm here to tell you that whether it's marijuana or prescription drugs, what we are to believe in as saints of God is what God says, not what man says. You and I are to walk in the sobriety of soundness of mind. Amen, somebody? And to do so, we must be clear-headed. That means, and I'll hear the argument, I'll hear the argument, and I heard it Wednesday, that, well, I'm much better mentally when I'm on my medicine. In other words, you're saying to Jesus Christ, I don't need your help. I have my own mind. I have my own way. Think about it. Don't get mad at me just because you don't like what I'm saying. All right? Anyway. This is Pastor Jeff signing off for In the News. Until next time, goodbye.